Good evening and welcome to the weekly Women's Sports Report presented to you by Fordham Lee Distillery, Hot Works of Springdale, and Metters Lumber with locations in Clarksville, Ozark, and Alma, and BetOnline, which remains your number one source for all your bettings this season. BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. Head on over to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use our promo code BLEAV to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts, and we start you off tonight where Arkansas, coming off the 4-0 loss to UCA, has now won 4 in a row, winning a 3-game set over UAB, 5-0, 11-1, and 6-0. Tonight beats Texas A&M and Commerce 8-1 to move them to let me pull up the record right quick. They moved to 32-12 overall, 9-6 in conference play, where they travel this weekend to Kentucky, which will be a big matchup. Looking at Kentucky's stats, they have a really one big ace to deal with. And if Shanice can outduel her, it looks like they'll be in good hands with that series. Coming in at ranked number 16th, Kentucky. But the big one, not overlooking Kentucky, will be next weekend when they host number 6 Tennessee, which in some rankings are number 2, some rankings are number 3. Tennessee is just a solid squad. Haven't lost a series yet this season in the SEC, only dropping 2 games in conference play. So Shanice Dell's come in to close things out, but Robin Herron come in to pitch 5 2/3 inning, giving up 3 hits, 1 earned run, striking out 10. Again, Texas A&M Commerce, the record's 5-34, and playing these midweek games, it's like a tune-up for the SEC slate. Of course, other than UCA, which we've talked about, how they're ranked 24th right now, and rightfully so, going 2-0 against Arkansas this season. A solid squad, pitching nightmare for Arkansas. Just the matchup was crazy. And to some, you see Central Arkansas and you're like, how could a team like that beat Arkansas? They're a top 10 team. I mean, it's just the way it goes. That's the way softball is sometimes. And to give all credit to UCA, I mean, they're a top program. They are ranked top, 24th in the country right now, firing on all cylinders, and nothing but love to that program, because that does nothing but bring good softball to the state of Arkansas. When we're talking about an in-state school with all the talent we have in high school, going to these schools, Southern Arkansas is another one, Arkansas Tech's another program that is just been, one of those blue bloods in D2 when it comes to the softball program. And now you have the likes of Southern Arkansas coming up, and then the emergence of D1. I had brought it up that, with UCA beating Arkansas, was that the first true in-state rivalry for the Razorbacks in any program, since starting, the in-state play in 2019 with Arkansas playing Little Rock in baseball. I mean, they've won games, Arkansas, but it's just never had that rivalry feel. This feels like a rivalry. This feels like two teams who want to, compete and play against each other. Arkansas wanting to be the top dog in the state, UCA with that chip on their shoulder saying, hey, we're here, but Arkansas is not the first team that they have had success with. They've played the likes of LSU. They've played the likes of Mississippi State, Kansas, and they beat LSU last year. They played them to one run this year. So it's not like this is a flash in the pan team that just come up and out of nowhere's beat Arkansas two times this season. I mean, they've proved themselves and have scheduled D1 teams over and over for the last 4 years. Arkansas holds the overall record, though, 4-2. They won the first 4 in a row, of course, and then dropped the last 2. But this is going to be an exciting series. This is going to be exciting. Home and home. We had talked about maybe, Coach Deifel, what would be the chances of, hosting a 3-game series. And there's just, I think, in what she had stated was no, they like the home and home because what it does for the state. If you do, and of course, jokingly getting beat twice, you're not keen on scheduling UCA for a 3-game series. But in all reality, if you play a 3-game set at Fayetteville, you're taking games away from Conway. If you play a 3-game set on the road midweek against UCA, now you're taking away, you're having to travel. And then, how the SEC is, you might have to travel to UCA and then end up traveling for a weekend set in the SEC. So, but it's very, very good for the sport. We love what it's done, and we love the fact that UCA is being competitive. I mean, other than I want to say there was a 4-1 game or a 7-2 game, every game's been 2-3 runs. I mean, every game has been competitive. So, but staying with softball, Shanice Delth with drafted 9th overall by the Oklahoma City Sparks. So, somebody who played at Tulsa prior to Arkansas, come here. You're going to be 4 hours away playing in Oklahoma City. So we know how the Razorback fan base follows their Razorbacks, their Pro Hogs to their next stint. I mean, and softball's no different. So it's congratulations to Shanice for getting drafted 9th overall by the Oklahoma City Spark. And it was funny. I was looking up their Twitter feed and it said Oklahoma City's Park is what it sounds like. So when you look up their Twitter page, it almost looks like it's Oklahoma City's Parks, but it's Oklahoma City Sparks. So, but as along with Shanice getting drafted 9th overall, it was announced today that Hannah Kamenzind was named your SEC Freshman of the Week for the 2nd time in a row. And again, left-handed pitcher, has helped get the series, and just how she's come on. When we talked about her stride before Christmas break, Coach Deifel was really wanting to shorten up her stride, really get it going, shorten it up. And this girl has got a nasty 3-pitch rotation. She can throw it a fastball. She's got an outside cutter that breaks really late to the plate. And then she's developed this curveball. And again, that's what Coach Deifel was really wanting to do with her stride, is shorten that stride up so she could be more effective with that curveball, and it just kind of swoops around the plate. Just an amazing job what she's been able to do as a freshman. Again, 2nd time this year, being named SEC Freshman of the Week, along with, of course, like I said above, Shanice getting drafted 9th overall. And a couple years ago, you wouldn't even seen any players at all. Now you're getting to see players year by year, and that's what happens when you develop a program that the magnitude that Arkansas has. And you're sitting here right now. Shanice is 3-1. She's 16-5 overall with a 1.84 ERA. Hannah's 3-2 with a 1.93 ERA. And Shanice has recorded 139 strikeouts on the year. Behind her is Robin Heron, another freshman that's just absolutely killing it. She's 7-4 on the year with a 2.04 ERA and has 102 strikeouts. But again, you're playing in the toughest conference in the country, in the SEC. And it's just amazing to see the amount of freshmen that are playing. The transfer players, Reagan Johnson's another one that has just been absolutely killing it. Rylan Hedgecock hitting her 16th home run. I think they said it's somewhere over by the football field right now. But, 16th home run of the season. and they're just you. It's good for them to bounce back off of that loss because losing to them 2 times in one season, that the morale's like, look, we're supposed to be the top rated team in the SEC. They're third or fourth right now, depending on how you look at the Alabama. I think Alabama's got the overall better winning percentage, so they're above Arkansas, but Arkansas holds the head-to-head, of course, series win. So moving on to the track and field, Britton Wilson, you want to talk about another star in the making. The junior, not only is she the national and SEC athlete of the week, but she just goes out and gets it, after her indoor collegiate record of 49.48, the 53.23 performance in the hurdles was the third collegiate all time and best this year. So Britton has just done nothing but set the track world on fire, and another amazing athlete to come out of the University of Arkansas. She was named Co-National Athlete of the Week. I know if you're used to watching those, the SEC awards, and hold the Co and Co-National Player, Co-SEC Player of the Week. So congratulations to Britton. The transition between the indoor and outdoor is back to back. And I was talking to a staff member with the track team, and they were just talking about just the brutal schedule of the indoor. Then you win a national championship. Then you've got to go immediately into your outdoor competition. And I believe they'd stated that, they had one of their runners that was injured out for the outdoor season. So, the team's still ranked third. Men's ranks first, even with one of your top runners out. And again, you lose one of your top runners, that's a lot of points per meet that they're missing out on. So best luck of recovery for her. And hopefully they can make it a sweep when it comes to the indoor and outdoor titles. But again, that just, shows how difficult it is to win a national championship and to repeat and to sweep, get the Triple Crown, as Arkansas has done. So again, congratulations to Britton. Then we'll move on to the gymnastics, where Nora Flatley and Lauren Williams made it to the nationals. And Flatley was one of the very last competitors to go, and she ended up with a 9.925 on the beam, which landed her second team All-American honors. And she finished her college career as a 4-time All-American, 2 on the balance beam. And the 9.9375 was the best ever score by a gym back as an individual beam qualifier, and the third highest in an NCAA team and individual competition. Again, the transfer portal has hit all sports. It's hit even the women's teams and the gymnastics and softball, basketball. And Nora coming to Arkansas and giving this program a spark after being built up to where it's at. I know it's tough because you go for team competitions, but it also has to do with, the individuals. And it's just crazy that the team's on the rise and they've had so much success. And, Jordan Weber has coached a lot of All-Americans at Arkansas, and she's got Flatley to the list, Kennedy Hamrick and Maggie O'Hara. And then you have the freshman in Lauren Williams, who qualified for the nationals as well. And, as a freshman in a hometown, a home state, in-state, to go down there in the vault, and she scored a 9.825, come in 20th in the session and 40th overall. But you've got to realize, going down there as a freshman and you're not doing a whole routine, you're not with the team, you're down there by yourself with Nora and the coaching staff, and you're going to do a vault. And that's one of the craziest, I want to say the craziest events when it comes to gymnastics, is you're running down, springing off the board and landing. You got to land perfect. And that's one of the most technical when it comes to scoring sports there is. Just, and again, you're at the mercy of the judges when it comes to how did you land wrong? Did you move? Did you bend your knees too much? Did you fall? So the status of the program of the gymnastics team with the freshmen. I mean, it's just getting better and better and better, and cannot wait to see what next year's team brings. And if they bring in another, athlete, another, transfer to come in and help continue to build this program. But we'll move on to tennis, where the tennis team will begin its postseason at home as they host the SEC Women's Tournament at Billingsley Tennis Center, and that runs from April 19th to the 23rd. So if you don't have anything to do and you want to go find something to go watch, support the team, you got the softball teams away this weekend. Go by and watch the SEC Women's Tournament over there at the Billingsley Tennis Center. Arkansas will be playing up against LSU in the first round of the SEC tournament. They played they'll be going against the 10th seeded LSU Tigers, and they faced off early in the regular season, which LSU ended up winning 5-2 in the match, led by Kelly Keller. And then, of course, you got Morgan Cross, Indiana Spink, and Carolina Gomez Alonso. Another good team that is talented, making their postseason, and then, what a way to be able to host a SEC tournament, to bring everybody to Fayetteville to see the campus, to see the facilities, and that does nothing but raise your program. And being able to talk to Coach Sanchez, and before the season started, we were able to interview her, and just another team that's building its program. We've seen what the programs can do here at Arkansas and the building blocks that needs to be set, and having someone like Morgan and Indiana be able to be that foundation of that program. And then you add Carolina, and then of course Kelly Keller. That's just what happens when you build the foundation to the tennis program. And now let's bring in some international talent. Let's bring in some of the top kids around the country, because once you get them on campus, they'll want to stay here. I mean, Fayetteville is one of the best towns to live in. It's one of the best colleges. And of course, if you get the fans behind you, they're the most loyal fan base in the country. So again, they start that on Wednesday, tomorrow, April 19th, and it will end Sunday, the 23rd. So go out there, root on the Razorbacks when it comes to the women's tennis team. And we will finish up with the soccer team, which they're running their spring season right now. It doesn't go on the official, what I would say, record. It is kind of like scrimmages, but they're real playing games, and they're 4-0, winning everyone in shutout fashion. So they ended up playing Oklahoma Sooners, and they ended up beating them 3-0 to remain undefeated in spring play. And the goalkeeper opened up the game with a converted penalty kick in the 3rd minute, and Arkansas midfielder B. Franklin scored a header goal with 2 minutes to play in the first half. And then, of course, Ava Tankersley, doing what she does best, found the back of the net with 10 minutes to play in the match. And like we had said, the Razorbacks have yet to concede a goal this spring and are outscoring their opponents 11-0. Coach Hale, after the game, said it was a good test for us. We pushed ourselves hard this spring, and there were some positives to take away. And, of course, with every coach, there's going to be some areas we need to clean up, and winning is difficult, which it is. We've seen, with it, when it comes to the soccer program, and when you get further and further down the line, all it takes is one goal, and they've made it so close, winning the SEC championships and then making it to the SEC and almost making it to the Final Four. I mean, again, winning back-to-back SEC championships, and this is the first time in 4 or 5 years that they haven't been on top of the SEC. But Coach Hale, we're going to have him on next week to recap, because they're finished up their last they finished up their last match. Let me see, pull their schedule up right quick. They play Illinois in Missouri to finish up their spring April 23rd. So their game April 7th against Oral Roberts was the last chance to see their spring schedule, which they won 2-0. What can you say about what's going on at Arkansas with the women's programs and everything that's going on. And of course, with the success, there wouldn't be this. We wouldn't have this show and wouldn't have this 30 minutes. And then, when we have a guest on, we try to go 30 minutes and then talk about the programs. And, with the basketball program trying to bounce back off the WNIT, you got the soccer team, track team, just carrying the way. Women's golf, they're one of them ones that are carrying the torch as well. Track and field wants to get another national championship. So it's very exciting time to be a Razorback fan. And be honest, with the football team, basketball team, and baseball team and their success, it filters over. And you're starting to see some of these programs. You look at the UCA loss, you have expectations now. And with those tough losses come tough expectations. It comes the criticism, and it comes to the point that, hey, why did you lose this game? Why did you go to the WNIT? Why aren't you in the NCAA tournament yet? But like we've said before, if the care wasn't there, the support wasn't there, and the talent wasn't there, those expectations wasn't there, those questions wouldn't be there. If nobody cared about these programs, there wouldn't be nothing to talk about. They wouldn't be griping about it. Well, that's the women's basketball program for you. That's the soccer team for you. That's whatever. Let's move on to football. It's not like that anymore. And I'm proud to say that we have all of our programs, the volleyball program, they're doing spring schedule stuff right now. They're doing games. That the fact that if they drop games, there's expectations. They hold them accountable when they lose. If they drop games that they're not supposed to win, people talk about it. That's where we are with all the programs right now, and that's where we need it to be. We want to actually care about the women's programs and all the fans that chime in and talk and support. And it's different that the fact people just want to say negative things and that's all they bring to the table. There's a huge difference from the fans that follow the team and are critical and have followed the programs, and they watch the games, they go to the games, they support the team, other than people that have nothing but negative things to say about the programs. They just want to troll, which it is what it is. That comes with the territory. But there's just some things you do and there's some things you don't. But to me, it's at the point where I'm glad that they're getting the negative attention if they do something wrong, because like I said, they're being held accountable for where they're supposed to be. If the softball team's supposed to be one of the top teams in the country and they drop a game or drop a series, you get beat by Texas A&M, or you get beat by UCA, or you get beat by Georgia, even though Georgia's a very good, solid program. It's like, hey, what's going on? Look at the soccer team. The soccer team advances, didn't win the SEC championship, or, didn't win the SEC regular season. Hey, what's going on? This program's supposed to be here, but that's what we want. That's what we want in Arkansas. We want our standards just to be like the men's side. We want to go to Elite Eights every year. We want to make it to Sweet 16s. We want to make that the NCAA tournament and win games. And hopefully with the talent, with the women's basketball team next year, I cannot wait for Talia Scott to get on campus. I can't wait for Carly Keats to get on campus. I cannot remember the girl's name from Spain, but when she comes on campus, this team's going to be loaded. You have Jenna Lawrence, the hometown girl from Farmington right down the road. This team is going to be very, very deep, and we've seen some transfer moves. Aaron Barnum, Riley Langerman leaving, and entering them to the transfer portal. And it's tough to see those players, especially with Aaron and Riley. Aaron being here since a freshman and being all SEC player, it's tough to see them go. But in the same sense, the transfer portal giveth and it taketh away. And let's see what they bring in, if they decide to bring anything in. It's brought us some really good players. It's brought us Chelsea Dungy. It's brought us Amber Ramirez. It's bringing us Sailor Poffenbarger. It's brought us Destiny Slocum. So, we got to be thankful for what it gives us. But when a player wants to go play somewhere else, we can't just start pointing fingers, because all in all, if the team wants to go in a certain direction and this player's minutes might be diminished and they want to play ball, they have the right to go play. And yes, it is a hard decision. It's not easy for any of these coaches or players to make these decisions. They're like family. They're like family to us. We've watched them since they were freshmen and coming in and grinding and how they connect with this fan base. So everything happens for a reason, and I wish Aaron and Riley nothing but the best on their next stops because it's absolutely been an honor, privilege to cover them the last 4 years. Um, and I hope that they land at a spot that works for them and they're able to fulfill the rest of their basketball career because we all know what happened with COVID and how that all just took a year. I mean, they were giving it back and thankful because they had a year of their college career taken away from them. And yes, it was unforeseen, you know, things that happened during that pandemic. And many things happened during that time, but they still, got the opportunity to have those extra years and got the opportunity to have a thing called the transfer portal where they're able to move on and play. So again, we'll finish up with that. Just best of wishes. Thank you for being a Razorback. Thank you for coming to Arkansas and playing Aaron and Riley. And again, nothing but the best of luck to you in your next stop. But that will do it for this episode of the Weekly Women's Sports Report. Again, we'll have Colby Hill on next week to recap the spring session. We're going to ask him a little question, a little tidbit we learned a few months ago about a hidden talent that he has. And then again, we'll give you a rundown of all the latest things that go on in the world of the women's sports at the University of Arkansas. For myself, Porter Hayes, this has been another episode presented to you by Fordham Lee Distillery, Hot Works in Springdale, and Metters Lumber in Clarksville, Ozark, and Alma. And again, as always, bet online. Thank you, and we'll catch you on Sunday.